It began as just another train ride into the night. But the silence felt heavier than usual, like someone was breathing behind me. The air grew colder, and faint whispers echoed in the dark. Lights flickered, shadows moved, yet no one was there. Every sound dragged me deeper into fear. Every second stretched forever. And then, in the glass, I saw a figure with no face staring back.
Run away?
The night was silent, the platform almost deserted. The last train screeched to a stop, and I stepped inside, feeling the chill of the empty carriage. The air smelled of rust, and every seat was cold, lifeless. I leaned against the window, watching my own reflection in the glass. But then, behind me, another reflection appeared. A woman, pale, motionless, just 2 rows away. My heart froze. I turned around quickly, but the seat was empty. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, but then came the sound, soft footsteps echoing through the carriage. My pulse raced. The lights flickered above me, buzzing like dying insects, and in the momentary darkness, I felt a breath, cold and sharp, brushing against my ear. A whisper followed words I couldn't fully understand, but I knew it wasn't just the train that carried me anymore. The train rattled deeper into the night, though no station ever came. I looked outside, only endless fog. Panic clawed at my chest. My hands trembled as the whispers grew louder, circling me, surrounding me. I stood, shouting into the emptiness, but my voice was swallowed by the silence. Then, from the far end of the carriage, the same woman appeared again. This time, she was standing, staring straight at me. Her eyes empty, yet burning with something I couldn't name. She didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. And then the train lurched violently, throwing me to the floor. My head spun, the lights died completely, and in the blackness, her whisper returned. Clear, urgent, run, before it's too late. My heart pounded, because I finally realized this was no ordinary journey. This was a warning. I stumbled into the corridor, my breath ragged, my chest tight. The hum of the train grew louder, like a scream trapped in steel. And then, she appeared again, at the far end, her body flickering in and out, like a dying flame. My knees weakened, but before I could cry out, she dissolved into mist, gone, like she was never there. I collapsed into my seat, clutching my bag, staring at the fog pressing against the window, alone again, yet haunted by the whisper that refused to leave my mind. The platform was drowning in fog, lamps barely breathing through the mist. I told myself I wouldn't take this train again, but there it was, the same tired engine, crawling back like a memory I couldn't escape. My heartbeat argued with my footsteps, but the doors opened with a weary sigh, and I stepped in. The air tasted of rust and rain-soaked dust. I felt the night close behind me, like a door locking from the outside. Whatever this train wanted, it remembered me. The compartment was almost empty, just rows of wounded seats and a sick, flickering light. Then a shadow moved along the wall, stretching, twisting, without a body to cast it. I froze. The leather cushions beside me sank, as if someone invisible had just sat down. I heard it, faint whispers curling around my ears, words I couldn't catch, but the feeling was clear. I wasn't alone. Fear pressed into my chest like a hand. I didn't know whether to run or listen. Condensation bloomed on the window, and slow handprints slid down the glass from the outside. I stood up, staring down the corridor. It looked longer than before, like the train had grown, swallowing distance, swallowing time. At the glass door, my reflection stared back, until hers appeared behind mine. The same woman, pale, relentless, watching me through the pain. My throat tightened. I reached for the handle, but my fingers shook. If I opened that door, would she be there, or would I be gone? The lights erupted into a violent stutter. On, off, on. Seats filling with shadows, then empty, then full again. Something crawled across the ceiling, long and wrong, like darkness learning to walk. I stumbled back, and suddenly a man sat across from me. Old clothes, lowered head, hands clasped like prayer. He hadn't arrived, he had appeared. My voice cracked. "Sir, are you okay?" No answer, no breath. Just that heavy quiet, the kind that makes your heart ask if it's still beating. At the far end of the corridor, she stood, flickering like a dying light, eyes hollow and urgent. I couldn't move. She lifted her face toward me, and the train shuddered so hard I grabbed the rail. Then she dissolved, broken into mist, scattered by the tremor. Silence fell like snow. I sank into my seat, clutching my bag, the window fog pressing close. Alone again, yet not alone, because somewhere in that hush, her meaning finally reached me. This wasn't a haunting, it was a warning. The town was asleep, but the fog was wide awake, curling around every corner. My steps carried me to a crooked neon sign buzzing faintly, Motel Haven. The letters blinked like they were tired of holding on. Inside, the lobby smelled of old wood and rain-soaked carpets. The man at the counter hardly looked at me, sliding the key across with hands that shook too much. "Room 6, he muttered. His eyes warned me more than his voice ever could. The door creaked open like it hadn't moved in years. My room was small, just a bed, a desk, and a lamp struggling against the dark. I dropped my bag, telling myself it was only one night. But as I turned, a shadow rippled across the wall. Not mine, not shaped like anything human. I froze, the air turning cold against my skin. My heart whispered what my mind refused to say. I shouldn't have come here. Night wrapped the room, heavy and unkind. I lay still when it came. The whisper, soft at first, then urgent, words broken by static. Leave now. I sat up, trembling, staring at the mirror across the room. My reflection smiled back when I hadn't. The whisper pressed harder, louder, like someone standing right at my ear. Fear twisted inside me, but so did a strange truth. This voice wasn't trying to scare me. It was begging me to survive. The whisper screamed this time. "Run!" I bolted for the door. Behind me, a deafening crack split the air. The ceiling gave way, plaster and beams crashing where my bed had been seconds ago. Dust swallowed the room, but I didn't stop running. Out into the night, lungs burning, heart breaking against my ribs. Alone under the neon's flicker, I realized the voice hadn't haunted me. It had saved me. The motel shrank behind me as I walked into the night, its neon sign still flickering like a dying heart. The road stretched ahead, silent, endless, wrapped in fog that seemed to breathe. My legs moved, but my mind was trapped, replaying the whispers, the collapse, the face that never belonged to me. Every shadow on that road felt alive, reaching for me, reminding me that I had escaped, but not defeated what followed me. And somewhere, deep inside, I wondered, had I really left that room? Or was I still trapped within its walls, wandering forever? The town was quiet, but not peaceful. Empty houses lined the street, windows staring like hollow eyes. My footsteps echoed too loudly, as though the silence itself wanted to hear me. I could feel it, that same presence, trailing me, never more than a breath away. And when I turned, the street behind me was empty, but my fear knew better. She was still there, watching. A figure appeared in the fog, blurred, fragile, almost human. I froze, breath locked in my chest. The whisper returned, softer now, but closer than ever. Each step I took forward, it grew louder, clearer, until it felt like the voice was inside me. Not to haunt me, not to harm me, but to guide me. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of it. I was afraid of what would happen if I stopped listening. The first light of dawn split the fog, warm against my face. I stopped, trembling, as the whisper faded into silence. It had delivered me here, alive. And in that fragile light I understood. The horror wasn't the voice. The horror was the silence I might have faced if I had ignored it.